Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today is October 12th, 2017, and this is Mastermind call number 147. And tremendous turnout, as always. We really appreciate you guys taking the time to be here. My partners and I just adjourned a summit in the mountains of West Virginia to kind of get together, do some planning, and constantly try to improve what we offer y'all. Tim, anything you want to share from the summit or otherwise with the group?
I think the most important thing that we got out of it is that it does us a great deal of good to sit down together and kind of contemplate our navels, but more importantly, look out the window and see where we're heading. And, we're not only constantly striving to make sure that we do a better job with the market niche that we're in right now, but I think you'll find in the next several months that you're going to see some new things coming out, and we're pretty transparent about what you do, and you've watched us take a look at Probate and take a look at obits and some other things that we've been looking at, and we are continuing to work on them, but we've also got some other pretty cool things coming down the pipe that we'll talk about when the time comes to do that. But it was a great meeting, and we enjoy each other's company and appreciate you guys more than you could possibly imagine.
Well said. In addition to the new products, we've got some really significant improvements to Probate that we'll be unveiling in the next few weeks. So that's exciting. Chad, anything you want to share from a training perspective or otherwise?
No, I don't think so today. Okay. I do want to say this. Every time we get together for one of these meetings, I send out a survey to you guys, and I just a personal thank you to everybody that took the time to fill that out, because that really, it shows us what we're doing right, but more importantly, it shows us what we can do better. And, the best currency in this business for me is to read the comments that come through from you guys, and just the amount of appreciation you have for what we're doing. And nobody's perfect. We'll continue to get better. And anytime you see those surveys, it's only about 4 times a year. For everybody that did reply, thank you so much for your input. And for everybody else that didn't, next quarter, I'm counting on you.
All right, well said. And our final partner, Tom, is on the road today. He's not here, but I know he would tell you if you need help with anything, anytime, best way to get the quickest, most efficient help is either go to our website and just hit the Contact Us button, or email support@alltheleads.com. And always be specific, guys. We have 4 partners, and I think we have about 8 employees now. If you're real specific about exactly what you need, the correct person will get back to you usually very quickly. I think our average response time is around 15 minutes or less. So we are here for you. We don't want to just sell you leads. We want to give you all the tools possible to make sure you're successful with them. And having said that, we have one person in the queue, so whoever that is, I hope that person has a 45-minute question, or I hope we can get some more participation. Just hit *6 and hit 1. Nothing is out of bounds. This is your call, guys. We don't want to just sit here and talk at you for an hour. We want your participation. Still only one person, *6 and hit 1, and let's go to the person that's in there. Phone number ending in 6788, you're up.
Yep, that's me. Good morning, guys.
Hey, morning. Hey, who's that?
Hi, this is Will Daly. I'm out in Phoenix, Arizona.
Hey, Will.
Hi. Making phone calls, pretty new to the company. I've got my second batch of leads, but blew off calling at first. Starting to do it now. Yesterday I had 2 situations. I know you guys will give me great ways to deal with this in the future. One guy, personal representative, was extremely friendly. Because of that, I kind of went straight to the point and asked if he needed any help selling the real estate. So I asked him if there was real estate specified in the probate. He said yes. So I just, instead of following the script that Chad's given us, I went straight to asking if I can help, if he needed help with real estate. He said that it's already been sold, and I just folded after that. But I remembered a conversation you guys shared with us several weeks ago where people just automatically say they have everything taken care of and it's baloney. So I'm wondering if this guy was BSing me and if real estate wasn't sold and it was just an easy way to get me off the phone. And in either case, what could I have done with that?
Do you work buyers?
I do.
Do you know about investment real estate? Like, do you help people buy rentals or anything like that?
Yeah, in fact, I invest heavily in multifamily myself.
Cool. So my next step would have been, that's awesome. It's a shame we didn't meet sooner, but if you don't mind my asking, what's your plan to reinvest the proceeds?
Got it.
So a few things you can do here. If you're investing in multifamily, maybe you turn him into your next private lender, and he can write first to you at 10% and make a 10% yield on the money. You can beat the market and you can create capital for your business. Maybe he wants to buy the rental property, so you turn him into a landlord for the first time ever. Maybe he wants to sell his primary residence and move up into a bigger home. So just continue to ask good questions. And if he's bullshitting you, you'll flush that out in 2 or 3 questions, and you'll know that he was just trying to get you off the phone. But it's hard not to engage in those questions. Like, stroke his ego, congratulate him that he found a great agent, hope it went smooth. But now what, right? So just continue to ask real estate related questions, and you never know what he could have. What I really want to know is how much money this guy got. Like, how much money can I make him if we reinvest that, So just try to ask questions to get the rest of the story, and maybe he had sold it, but there's ways you can provide value even if he's already sold the home, right? As long as he has cash in his pocket, and that's what you do for a business.
Okay, great. So you have tremendous composure, right? And I've been selling real estate for over 20 years, and in my niche, in my area of expertise, I have composure. I'm like a guppy when I'm talking to these folks, right? So I'm guessing the best way to deal with this is just hit the phones, and eventually, I will develop composure. But do you have any additional hints or pointers for a guppy to, gain the composure quicker?
So change your mindset and don't ever call yourself that again, and quit saying that, because that's your belief and that's how you behave. So start with that. Are you the best damn real estate salesperson in the world?
I don't speak in absolutes, but you want me to, right? What's that?
So, like in your mind, that's what I want you to think. Like, there's no better person that could be in front of this person right now than me, because I wholeheartedly believe that I can serve him better than anyone. It kind of starts there, and I mean, it sounds like you got a really a wide spectrum of experience. So just be confident in yourself at first, and the conversation flows because you know that you're qualified to be having the conversation, and you're not taking anything. You're offering value up front. How can I help you? How can I make you money? How can I take stress away from you? So there's nothing to be nervous about. You're the one giving. But,
and if it makes, I was going to add too, if it makes you feel better, I'm the person that talks to everybody, when they're coming into this program, and honestly, I would say 90 to 95% of the agents that sign up with us have either never done a probate, or they've done 1 or 2 or 3 that they happen to bump into. So you're not any less experienced than any other agents that's likely, contacting them. And hopefully, with probate, it's not terribly complicated. They have an attorney that handles all the legal aspects. You're really just dealing with a motivated absentee owner. And I'm sure you've done that before.
Sure. So
yeah. Go ahead.
Well, the distinction, though, is cold calling, right? So I am very confident in my real estate skills. It's the cold calling issue, or, I haven't been a cold caller. I've never really considered myself to be a salesman per se, right? And that is really what we're doing when we're calling somebody. I mean, you guys want us to have the servant attitude, which I love. But I think that's the position I have to take, is serving. I am there to help and not to take. And granted, it's a mutually beneficial relationship in that respect. But I appreciate the kick in the pants, though.
So I have a good first assignment for you. If you're
That's
willing.
what I want. Let me write it down.
I'd like you to call this guy back and say, you know what, I just wanted to call and apologize. I wasn't even thinking when we spoke the other day But have you got 5 minutes to talk through a few things? And I want you to fall on your sword and say, I don't know why I didn't think of this when we were talking, but I wanted to talk to you about what your plans are for reinvesting, the money. Because what I find is a lot of families, they inherit, and after the disbursement, that they don't really have a plan for it. And there's a lot of ways I can help people actually grow that money. Would you be interested in learning more about some of the options? Okay, great. Well, how about coffee on the corner tomorrow at noon? And try to set an appointment with the guy. But call back and say, I should have thought of this when we were talking, and then just roll right back to where you left off on the conversation and find out. And maybe he didn't get any money. Maybe, who knows what will happen. But I think that's a good place for you to start. You're already questioning, what should I have done there? Now just go try it.
Good. I like it.
And the other thing I was going to ask, can I just make one other quick point here while you're having that conversation? Chad's making an excellent point that, we've made a lot of times on these calls, that you're calling them about one thing, and what you're giving them, what that gives you is the opportunity to enter that conversation. And there are lots of other things that you can talk to them about, and the fact that you are an investor and you do all of this opens up an entirely new channel for you another way for you to be looking at this list, particularly in your marketplace, because you're in a marketplace that you got high-ticket houses out there. Those people have a good wad of money in their hands. As soon as that property gets sold and closes, they're going to be dispersing a lot of cash. So, like Chad said, there are lots of things you can do with this list that don't just have to do with listing that probate.
Good. I like it. Thank you. And again, I think it's just going to take, after 20 more calls, I'll be that much better, and et cetera, et cetera. All right. So along the same lines, unless the queue's filling up, another guy I talked to was just extremely short. Basically, he said, "Hey, we're all set. Have a good day." And so I did push forward, tried to push through a little bit further, and just wanted to ask if there was any real estate in the probate. And again, he repeated, "We're all set. Have a good day," and was like, and hung up on me. So I'm just trying to think that, if I'm getting the initial push off, a good way to get my foot just in the door. And I think I know the answer, but I wanted to hear it from you guys again.
If I had a nickel for every time I heard that, Mr. Seller, I wouldn't be calling you today. But unfortunately, I don't. So what I find is most families think they have everything handled because they don't know what they don't know yet. Does that make sense? So is it worth 5 minutes of your time to talk to a professional in probate in your local market to kind of see how we might be able to help take some of this off your plate? And if he's going to push back real hard, then I probably, there's different ways you can approach it, but try to show them that they may not. A lot of people have the misconception that the attorney is going to do more than they actually are. And they haven't thought about certain things, and some of the things we've discussed on recent calls. And I think there was a recent Facebook post where I gave you like five things that you can cover. But one of them is like the vast majority of families that I meet that have an inherited home or a probate home or all the way through after they've inherited it, it's sitting vacant, and the current insurance policy doesn't cover it. So you can use little things like that to just throw up a red flag and be like, see, you didn't even know about that one. You should sit down with me. And you can come up with other examples, but, property maintenance, property security, insurance issues, like a lot of things they might not have thought about, the carrying cost of holding a home through the winter. But find things that are, relevant and try to, just kind of prick those pain points, because chances are you might wake them up and they'll go, wow, okay, so this guy's not like the other 45 that I've gotten postcards from or called. He's actually trying to help me out. And I was being rude to him, and he's still trying to help me. And you're not gonna. Some people are have sold the house or have planned to list it with the family realtor for months because they knew what was the inevitable. And so don't take them personally. Like some of them really will have them covered and won't need your help. But push a little bit and put pressure on them in a good way and find out. And that's a good, bring a few of those problems to the top use feel, felt, found. I understand how you feel. Most everybody I've worked with has felt that way. And what they found is when they actually listened to what we could do, they were really impressed, and we were able to take a lot of it off their plate and make this a lot less stressful. So do you really have everything handled, or are you afraid I'm going to sell you something?
Got it.
Because I don't get paid until I do what I promise.
Makes sense?
Cool. Yes, sir. Makes sense. Just got to apply it. All right. How do
I compliment you on your work ethic, your attitude, and keep up the good work. You're going to get great results. And we do.
Got it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you. We have 3 more in the queue. Next up is phone number ending in 2890. You're up next.
Hello, my name's Nikki. I'm in Atlanta. I just am kind of working through scheduling my probate business because I am a prospecting agent already, and I'm just trying to figure out, do you think I should create maybe a day where I focus more on that? Or because I feel like since I've gotten the leads, I haven't been able to dial through most of them. You know, maybe I have one list that I've gotten through, but just wanting to maybe get some feedback on, you know, do you know of anybody else, if they work expired business and probate, how they're implementing both? Are they picking a day, or what have you guys found to be the best practice?
What all prospecting are you doing currently?
Expired for sale by owners.
Okay. Are you hitting those at daylight, like first thing in the morning?
Yeah.
Okay. So the best time to do probate, and if you look at the fast track training and subscriber portal on step 3, you can download the full study. But the best times to make these calls are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. If you set those prospecting blocks up, that gives you about, I think it's 12 hours of prospecting time, which is usually, I mean, that's probably enough for your probate and your FSBO expired. But because you're in a competitive market, I would keep making your FSBO expired calls early because everyone else is. You know, you try to beat them in. But your probate, just move them later in the day and set those prospecting blocks in your calendar. And be religious about it. Like, you don't make calls on Fridays and Mondays because you know it's a waste of your time. Maybe you pick up a Saturday, but on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, at those times, however many hours you need to block, like if you're calling all 4 numbers, leaving messages and having conversations, you should have a call pace of about 12 per hour, 12 leads per hour. And that's including all 4 phone numbers if you have to. But all the research we've done with really tenacious callers, you're gonna hold a pace at about 12 per hour. So you can figure out how many leads do you have? How many leads do you have?
Well, I have a few of them. I'm not in front of them. I believe it's probably maybe 100 or so now.
Okay. So let's just call it 10 hours. So 1 week a month, you have probate prospecting blocks. And during those times, during that week, you make those calls. Or maybe it's 2 weeks a month that you do that. And then the alternating weeks, you can do follow-up calls and you know, other lead type prospecting. But I would encourage you to get it into a calendar and let that calendar be your CEO. When it says call, you call. And that's really the only way I've been able to find the discipline to do it. It's usually not a matter of time. It's usually a matter of discipline. And I'll admit that it's, you know, I've not made calls too. But the calendar is what kept me in line. And when I was prospecting 12 hours a week, I let Google Calendar be my boss.
Okay, that's good. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Excellent. And Chad, I was just going to tell the group you didn't make up those prospecting times. That was a very extensive MIT study that did hundreds of thousands of cold calls, and so it's pretty good data and it's pretty accurate. Obviously, we're not saying don't ever prospect on Monday or Friday, but if your schedule is tight, those are the most effective times to do it. So just wanted to share that. We have 3 more in the queue. Next up, I recognize this name. Ivan, you've been with us for 2 days now, so I'm sure you have a success story already, right?
I haven't even looked at the videos. I apologize, y'all.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so I have 2 questions. Let's just try to get ahead of it. You may have already covered it in the videos, but is there a standard closing duration that the potential probate sellers like 30 days, 7 days?
I think it's gonna be situational. So, I mean, what I try to establish early in the listing appointment, or sometimes even on the initial phone call, is a target date. So, in a perfect world, Mr. Seller, when would we be shaking hands and finalizing this? And you kind of work backwards from there. So I look for their ultimate, the closing target date or the lack of. That will help me to kind of gauge their motivation. After we've committed to a target date for the closing, then I'm going to work back to a target date for MLS, photography, staging, estate sale, getting the house cleaned out. Like, I just work my way back using the furthest out, the closing target date, and then set subsequent target dates to commit them to a schedule. The reason I do that is it's really easy in an emotional situation. It's easy to kind of stick your head in the sand and not get things done and procrastinate, and it's usually not in the family's best interest. So if you apply a little bit of pressure and put dates to it, these people will usually, if you set it, they'll usually outperform their own dates. Like, they'll usually get things done quicker than you've scheduled it. But it's just getting them, kind of leading them through that emotional process, and that giving that structure to the situation, in my experience, usually lights a fire under them, and it happens way quicker. But some of them will have already cleaned it out, or it'll be a fully furnished vacation condo, and you can sell it next week, and they'll be happy with that.
Okay.
Others are gonna need some time for the family to get in town, go through the house, then get the estate sale company in, and then it could take them 6 months until they want to see it on MLS. You just have to kind of feel it out and see what their goals are.
Gotcha. Okay. And related to emotions, that you mentioned a second ago, let's say I call them and proceed with your script about trying to comfort them, saying I'm just here to help, and even after all that, they get upset, like they get angry. Like, what has that ever happened, and how do you handle that?
Sure, it does. It happens. I call it the lightning strike objection. We're all terrified of it, but very few of us have ever been struck. I mean, you need to prepare yourself, just prepare yourself for it now, and understand that it's usually that person's ego talking. They're cut to the bone, they're grieving, and if they take it out on you, it's not personal. You're calling, as I said earlier in this call, you're offering credit, right? So you're offering social credit. Can I help you? Can I show you ways to make money? Can I take stress away from you? So if they blast back at you, just understand, deflect it and understand it wasn't really pointed at you or your business. There's something, what ego's a funny thing. Like, what they're not telling you is, listen, I'm cut to the bone because I lost somebody I love, and I perceive your business, and I think you're trying to take advantage of me, and I'm not ready to be pulled out of my comfort zone, so screw you. And if you can understand that and understand their mindset, if they give you a chance, a lot of times you can meet them at their level of intensity and hit them back as hard as they hit you, and then ask a soft question and bring it back down to a reasonable conversation. And you can actually turn the ship if you kind of match them and don't ever say sorry. And I will not change my mind on this. If you're doing the right things for the right reasons and you're offering to help somebody in the community, never apologize for that. I see so many agents apologize all over themselves. I'm like, what the hell did you do wrong? So don't say sorry and don't take a weak position. Hit them with strength and show them the confidence level you have that you can actually help them. And you have a chance of turning the conversation into, a real conversation. But get ready for it. I mean, eventually we're all going to uncover one of those, right?
Yeah.
So just don't let it rattle you. Don't let it make you quit. We have people quit because they get hit one time, because they just, they take it too personal. and I don't care what kind of prospecting you're doing, if you make enough outbound phone calls, someone is going to think you're the worst thing ever and your business sucks. And, you know. So.
Chad, it reminds me, you and I were at a convention about a year or so ago, and one of our new subscribers, his very first call, somebody bit his head off in that manner, and he called, he was ready to quit, and Chad kind of talked him down off the ledge, and this was at least a year and a half ago, and the guy is just, I wish I could remember his name, but he's doing very well. Last time I talked to him, he said it had never come up again in a year and a half. So, you know, I honestly believe the percentage of people that are going to get upset with you is way lower than the people you're calling FSBOs that expired that have 100 other people calling them. I mean, my own experience, I never had it when I tested this program. So you may get lucky and never had anybody do that. So like Chad said, don't expect it, but don't get rattled if it does happen to you, you know, because it certainly is possible. But that's possible with any type of prospecting that you're doing. Make sense?
I had a guy show up in my office and quote to whip my ass because I sent a letter to homes with high equity that had not transferred title in the last 9 years. And that, it was just a We Buy Houses letter, but it offended him so much that he got in his truck, drove 40 miles, and he drove to my P.O. box address and called me like fuming mad because he couldn't find me to whoop my ass. And I actually turned it around and ended up turning him into a buyer for foreclosure property. But he was just fuming mad. But I just asked questions, and I hit him as hard as he hit me and turned it around, and he's actually on my cash buyers list. He kind of, I don't know, he was having a bad day. But once I kind of broke him down, we had a great conversation, and he had 3 or 4 rental properties, and I'm like, man, let me pitch you some deals. And he's bought houses from me. But that's how the relationship started, was him just blasting me.
Awesome.
All right, does that help?
Yep. Definitely.
All right, very welcome, Ivan. We have 2 more in the queue. We got plenty of room for more. Again, just hit *6 and then hit 1, and you'll be next in the queue. Next up is phone number ending in 2818. You're up.
Yeah, hey, great. This is Anthony from Denver. First time calling in. Actually requested information on your website during this call for pricing. But had a question. Do you guys target the probate attorneys?
We do, absolutely. And Chad can elaborate, but let me answer it real quick, Chad, and then I'll let you elaborate. We recommend reach out to the executor first. They're the low-hanging fruit. But then look down your attorney column and identify who the players are, and absolutely don't ignore them. We typically will give you the name, address, phone number, and often the email address of the probate attorney. And Chad, you can kind of share with them what's been effective with our agents with attorneys.
Yeah, so really what we teach is kind of a 2-prong approach. So you've got your, personal representative marketing and prospecting, and then a kind of a whole other branch of building a referral network through probate attorneys is one part of that branch of business. So what is most effective with probate attorneys is identifying the key players in your market, which is in the data we give you, and then introducing yourself in person, even if it's not at a scheduled appointment, even if you do a cold office visit. What seems to be, I'll say the only successful people that I've seen that really built real relationships and are closing deals, they met them in person, and they were real clear on what their offer was. And just like your offer to the personal representative, how can I help you? You want to kind of tailor that pitch to how can my business help this attorney's business? And you just need to show them how you don't need babysat through the transaction. You're actually going to take work away from him instead of create more work for him, and you're going to have the family's best interest in mind and front of mind. And when attorneys really understand that they're working with a real estate agent that understands the probate process, has all these solutions and options in place for their clients, and they understand, like, they're offering, how can I help your business, then it's not real hard to compete. I'm sure it's no surprise to you that there aren't very many agents out there doing that. There's a handful that are willing to step out of their office and out of their comfort zone to build that relationship. So they're fairly easy to impress.
Great. And do you guys have materials with that as well, or?
That's what I just started
to guide us?
Yeah, I just started to say we've had a couple of our agents share some really nice trifold brochures that have worked with attorneys, and they are posted now in the members area of the website. Chad, you'll probably know where they're posted. You can share that.
Yeah, so when you become a subscriber, you'll see our mailing department is called Mailbox Motivator. And on the left-hand side, there's a left-hand menu. It will be at the top soon. We're going to make some changes, but under the menu, just look for campaign setup, and that's where you'll see all the letters and brochures and flyers that we offer to print and mail. And what we could do is just print the flyers and mail them to you, so you have your own stack of brochures. But it's really, I mean, we don't have a full. Probate Mastery is our kind of advanced training, and we teach a lot about building the referral network there. But as far as print materials and stuff, we don't have a whole lot of that. It's usually not required. It's more of just showing up and being a competent business owner trying to help another one. That's what really makes people successful.
Great, thank you.
All right, sir, appreciate it. We only have one more person in the queue. So we got time for more. Just hit *6 and hit 1. And next up is phone number ending in 3525. You're up next.
Yeah, hi. This is Victoria and Adrienne from Washington, D.C.
Welcome.
Hey, Chad.
Hey, guys.
We had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, so this has been real helpful. We had a few questions. We've been making lots of phone calls. And just a little tip for maybe everyone on the call today, we've been making our calls together, listening to each other's calls and giving each other feedback, and it's really, really been useful, far more useful than sitting all by yourself in a room and making these calls. So just a little tip for everybody. I don't know if that's ever been thrown out. Because we're able to give each other feedback, whether it goes well or whether it doesn't or whatever. But we had a few questions. So what do we do when the personal representative and the deceased have the same address? In other words, we're probably calling the husband of the wife that died or the wife of the husband or whatever.
So there's the long form answer is if you go to alltheleads.com. Actually, if you're in subscriber portal, look over on the left and you'll see tips from the trainer.
Okay.
And that's a series of video training blogs that I do. One of the first ones that I did was Should I Call a Surviving Spouse? And I think I talk about it for 10 or 12 minutes, all the reasons you should. And it really starts with a story, the very first deal that I did in this space. But think about all the reasons a spouse might be very motivated to sell and might actually physically not be able to keep up with a property. A lot of them aren't going to sell. I mean, we know that seniors Americans over the age of 65, 78.8% of them, when surveyed, they fully intend to die in the home that they live in. But we know that's not, but it's the reality is a lot different than that. So what happens usually is we don't have an end of life plan, and all of a sudden something changes, you lose somebody, and then your health takes a turn, and then you're stuck. Well, how can I pay for long-term care? My life savings is tied up in this house. And that's how people get themselves into a position where they have to do something and they have to do it quick because they can't afford long-term care. So, sorry. The best thing you can do is reach out to the spouse with, and it's again, you've got to be empathetic and compassionate and understand they're probably really raw from what's happened, but let them know that and you may even just call to introduce yourself and your service and not even ask that many questions and say, would it be okay if we follow up in a week? You'll find your stride with it. But do not be afraid to call those people. Chances are, if not right now, sometime really soon in the near future, they're going to need your help more than anyone.
Oh, cool. Okay, great. Thank you. And what do we do with when the deceased date is really old, like 5 to 10 years, but it's just entering the probate system?
Well, what that usually is somebody didn't understand that you're supposed to probate an estate, and either they've either tried to refinance the house or sell the house. And usually when the title search is done, it comes up and says, someone just continued to pay the taxes as they showed up. They never did actually probate. And in my experience in talking with county clerks and also in my own transactions, I've had them all the way back to 1983. And it's usually that case where somebody died, a family member was living in the house, they continued to live there and pay the taxes, and they just never changed the title. And then when the title search comes around and they can't close the chain of title, then they find out that they have to probate the estate. So that's usually the story. And I've talked to several county clerks from different states, and they say, yeah, that's 9 times out of 10, that's why that shows up that way.
So when we're calling the PR, they may not necessarily have a home to sell, but it's just gone to probate for other reasons, or?
Yeah, you never really know. I mean, probate is it's as much about liabilities as it is assets. But if you see a date that far away, it's probably about an asset. So maybe it was, who knows? But most often, it's the case that someone continued to live in the home. And usually nothing in the estate was probated, so they'd have to go retroactively probate everything. That's usually the case.
And don't
always
assume. I was going to say, don't assume that they don't want to sell it. Something just triggered them filing that probate, so they very well may have finally realized that they need to do this to sell it. So I would pretty much treat them like any other transaction or any other probate, right, Chad?
Yeah, I mean, you never know. It's just with any of these. I mean, we can only tell. So actually, we can't tell anything from the data other than there's a probate, and I should call and see if I can help them. There's a million different variables in these situations. So the best thing to do is, call with a servant's heart and figure out the story firsthand and see if there's any way you can help. Just kind of like the first caller. Maybe the house is under contract in escrow about to close. The title search just came back and they realized that someone didn't probate an estate 10 years ago. And they've already got this chunk of money that, they're planning on, they know they're going to get this. Well, what better time to talk to them and maybe even help them, help introduce them to people that will get them through probate very quickly so they can free up that money and spend it with you. So you never know what the situation is. It's always good to call and find out.
Right. So one more quick question. So we've noticed with some of our leads, for example, there was a death that occurred in April of 2017. The property sold in June of 2017. It didn't go to probate till August of 17, and we got the lead in our September list. So, what should we do with something like that? I mean,
just realize it's going to happen. I would say 25% of families will be proactive and do that. I mean, if you think about it, there's let's say 10% or less of anyone on any list will actually need or hire you for your services. So rather than focus energy on that, just say, okay, well, that's part of the 90%. Now let's find the 10%. Because it's always going to happen. I mean, families are going to they're going to clear assets quickly after death. They're going to clear assets before death. They're going to, they'll quit claim real estate over to family members 12 months before they know they're going to need long-term care payments from Medicaid. Like, people do things like that. It's just part of the situation. But there's a number of them in there that really legitimately need your help. And the best thing to do is just focus on those.
Yeah, that's what we're experiencing. Well, thank you so much for all of that.
Excellent. Thank you for, being proactive, taking action right away. Doing this for 4 years now, it's funny the way it works, but the agents that actually get on these calls, or the agents that actually pick up the phone and start making the calls, are obviously the ones that are successful. We do have agents that do real well with the mail, but in most cases, the mail is an introduction. You got to follow up on the phone calls, and everybody who took the time to be on the call today is doing that. So thank you. Oh, we have one more person. I was going to wrap it up, but we have another person in the queue, so let's go to them. Phone number ending in 5325. You're up next.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Doug in Jacksonville.
Hey, Doug. Welcome.
Doug.
Good, Jim. Hey, Chad. Couple things. One, I want to share a success story. I got an inbound call from one of my letters. Older guy got an estate from his deceased wife's mother. Anyway, bottom line is I put one of my investors on the deal. It was a $120,000 property, and once it was all said and done, we had it already under contract and basically sold before we closed on it, and made $75,000 profit on that $120,000 deal, and it came right from the letter. So anyway,
wow,
it made it worthwhile.
I think you just paid for our service for the next 50 years.
Yeah, I think I might have, Jim. So with that,
congratulations. That's a great story.
Thank you. And with that being said, I'm right now in the process of posting that letter to the Facebook page. It's like the 8th version, and I think little by little it's gotten a lot better as far as what resonates and what doesn't. So anybody wants to use it, feel free. And my question is one of, are you guys aware of anybody using, let's just call it a telemarketer, to do the outbound calls for you and essentially an appointment setter?
We're
Great
testing
question.
it right now. It's something that it's one of the biggest things that we want to offer for you guys. It's proven to be easier said than done. So we're testing with a couple of different methods right now, and hopefully in the coming weeks we'll be able to offer it to you directly in the CRM.
Offer directly, you mean outbound telemarketing?
Meaning you click a button and never make another phone call.
Oh, I like that noise. All right. Yeah, this is where I have a girl that's a licensed agent trying to set appointments for me. I just didn't know if anybody else was doing that. But all right.
I did want to comment. Chad has over the last 4 years, Chad has helped train probably several dozen. He calls them ISAs, inside sales agents, and it sounds like you're doing it right. I think we've yet to find a phone person that could close the deal. The best use of the phone person is to qualify the interested people and set an appointment for you to close the deal. And
right.
that's the most effective way to do it, because for the most part, if they were as good as you, they wouldn't be working making phone calls. And we do have 2 really good services that we're very impressed with that we are beta testing now, where, like Chad said, you'll just be able to, like you click on your lead now mail for me, you'll be able to click on your lead call for me, and you just kind of wait for the appointments to come in and go take the listings. And we're getting pretty close on that. We're hoping we'll be able to roll that out in the next month or 2.
Good deal. Okay, guys. Well, thank you. Again, I'll put the letter up there, so hopefully it'll help somebody else.
Oh, thank you very
Appreciate
much.
that.
Chad, anything great success story? Any other questions you want to ask him about how he did it, or I think you pretty well.
Thanks for sharing both the story and the letter, and keep doing what you're doing. I mean, the one thing I would say is you've changed your letter 6 times. So everyone else on the call, listen to that. I mean, there's no such thing as a marketing budget. It's all a test budget. So if what you're doing is not, if what you're doing is not working, change what you're doing. Change your language, change your letter, figure out what's working. Don't give up. Like, this works anywhere if you have the right offer for your ideal client. So kudos to you for doing that and not saying that this letter doesn't work. Like, your mindset is, how do I need to write this letter so it works, right? So thanks for doing that, and thanks for sharing.
It was interesting, Chad, as far as the case study. So I usually get 150 to 200 leads each month. And so essentially what I do is I took the same letter that I'd been sending but wasn't thrilled with the response, and I changed literally maybe 6 words in it, and it just altered the tone slightly. So then what I did was I did a batch half the letters the old style, half the new style. And within 4 days of the mail being dropped, I got 6 calls from the new style letter and none off the old style. So you just gotta keep trying.
You do, and what works today might not work next month.
Roger
so
that.
just, I see a lot of people get dead set on using the letter as it is in the template, and we, in Fast Track and everywhere, we encourage you to personalize those. So, anyways, compliments to you for doing that, and I'm love bring us more stories, man. That's awesome. A $75,000 profit. That's a good year.
It was a good
start.
Yeah.
Great,
Cool.
thank you so much. One more person in the queue. Phone number ending in 8318. You're up.
Hi, this is Sandy, and I've got a couple of questions. One is that I have not yet received my leads for October, and I have called your service department, and I've reached out to 2 other people, and I'm just still wondering what's going on and when can I expect to get those leads.
Yeah, if you reached customer service, I suspect you're going to the wrong place because they are phenomenal at checking and getting right back to you. Did you send an email to support@alltheleads.com and ask that question?
No, I didn't. Somebody just, when I asked the question, whoever I was talking to said, I don't know, and I will get back to you. They did get back to me, and this was 3 days ago, and said you should get them by tomorrow, and it's still been a couple more days. So when can I expect to get those leads?
Yeah, if you would, send another email to support@alltheleads.com. All 4 of us partners will look at it. We'll figure out what's going on, and we'll get right back to you within a few minutes after the call's over.
You bet. Thank you. And another question. The gentleman who was just on, who had finally come up with a great letter that worked, I'm wondering if there's a way I could contact that person and find out what they're currently using and how they came to that.
I think he said he was going to share it, right, Chet?
Yeah, he's going to post it in our Facebook group, All the Leads Mastermind.
Great. That'd be terrific. Okay, thank you, guys.
All right, you're very welcome. And that is all we have in the queue today. Tim, Chad, anything you want to say to summarize before I close?
No, great call. Great questions today, guys. We love the engagement.
Same here.
All right,
good job.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking 45 minutes, 50 minutes out of your day today to be here. I always end these calls by challenging you. You took the time to be here. We had some great participation. Take one idea, one thought, one thing you learned from this call, go out and put it into practice, and please come back next Thursday and share it with the group. Make it a great week, guys. Take care. We'll talk to you next Thursday.